And Papa Duty Puck, it's a classic. His Invoker and his Puck are definitely his most played heroes, especially in the DPC. And we get to see the Shadow Demon. Again, we saw it picked up the other day. Tana was playing it, and it's a really good save for that Mars. But something with their draft that Hokori definitely need to figure out is if you find a hero, maybe it's the Storm Spirit, that can get in on the backline into the Snapfire Shadow Demon, make them save themselves instead of their cores, then the lineup starts to fall apart. And that's where there are going to be a few holes, as you don't have that big beefy boy yet. A lot of those heroes have been sort of banned out. In Divine Llama, I think you need to have someone to sort of carry you through that 15 to 20-minute phase where Void, once he uses his chrono, sure, you're going to get a few kills here and there with those kisses. It's sort of an you just get it for free basically once you draft those two heroes. And aside from that, you need Devilama to sort of prop you up. Otherwise, Hokori, they've shown that they're able to take the map, they're able to take the space, specifically when Lumiere is armed as super farming heroes. That's why we saw them ban up with the TA and the Wraith King. If they get them on any of those heroes and they mess up their spells, it's going to feel, again, coming up Hokori.
Hmm. The Rubik pick coming out from that Hokori side. So, well, this hero hasn't really had as much in the way of popularity compared to where he once was, but there are some nice spells for him to be able to take away here. You can always sort of lane him up with that Mars for a relatively sort of reliable combo, the telekinesis into that sort of spear stun setup, so there is certainly more cause for the Rubik to be picked up here than we would normally see, but at the end of the day, the Rubik always has to come down to what can he steal and when can he sort of take it away. So there might be quite a bit of extra pressure onto, I'm assuming El Misho on that hero to try and turn some of these fights around as we see the fourth picks coming out. Void Spirit for D2 Hustlers, the CK though for Hokori.
And it feels a little bit scary that you are picking it into Shadow Demon. But again, that's your jump hero. That's the hero that's going to get a Blink Dagger. It's going to find Snapfire. It's going to find the Shadow Demon. And then you need to run. You need to be careful. In Void, without the Magnus, it isn't a hero that's going to feel like you can kill him in Chrono. It's going to feel like he's just a little bit too tanky for you. And this Void isn't going to have the greatest lane either. Whether or not he ends up laning with the Shadow Demon or the Snapfire, which they've also sort of cemented with this Void Spirit pick, you're laning into Rubik Mars. And we've seen Rubik Mars, you're able to get those kills. You're able to sort of pull back a lot of times in that lane. And Void, it feels like if he doesn't get off to too hot of start, he will have that recovery play with the Mortimer Kisses. But aside from that, I feel like Hikori are looking to sort of run over their opponents in this one.
Yeah, they've got some really sort of high quality frontline fighters with the Mars and the CK, so they could very much look to sort of push the tempo and try and catch their opponents off guard here. But before we really can, I would say, fully determine just how they're going to play, we have one last pick coming in here. Hokori are going to be looking to round out the lineup, but at this point, they've got a lot of time to think about this. These two teams have sort of flown through this draft. Over a minute of reserve time for Hokori. There's over 2 minutes for D2 Hustlers. So unless they have something immediately in mind, they could afford to sort of wait this one out. But well, this is going to depend a little bit on where they want to sort of send some of these heroes. The Mars could go to the mid or the off lane. The CK could be the 1 or the 3. And there's that Storm Spirit you were sort of mentioning before, that hero that can further jump onto that back line, create problems for the Shadow Demon and the Snapfire.
And we saw, again, Undying, learning from your opponents, learning from your past defeats. That's what sort of caused El Misho to have quite a big headache in his game on the Snapfire, where the Storm is constantly looking for you. He's constantly trying to get on top of you. And at the same time, you do have that Void. If you are able to catch that Storm Spirit, he's going to be pretty sad. But we've seen this lane before, Void versus Storm Spirit. We saw it a ton at the Major, specifically Abed usually ending up on that Storm Spirit. It's a matchup that can really go either way depending on who gets the rune, who gets those timings, and we're really going to see a bigger emphasis on those runes as really in any other game when you see both these spirit heroes, because whoever gets the rune gets to make more plays, gets to have more mana, gets to get better timings. And with such a case sensitive sort of matchup, whoever is able to get the upper hand is going to have a big lead coming out of that early 10 to 15 minutes.
And we've seen many, many times the team that sort of gets out of the gates earliest, especially with some of those mid heroes, tends to sort of dictate the pace of the game for the next really 10 to 15. So we'll see exactly how that matchup plays out, but we do still have one last mystery to work with here. D2 Hustlers looking at that off lane position. Devi Lama, doesn't have too many fantastic options left. A lot of those offlane heroes have already been taken out of the pool. I'm not sure you're going to be able to tick every single box, whether it's sort of damage or durability. You may have to sort of sacrifice one for the other here. So, what do they have left in the pool here? The Centaur's gone, Timber, Mag, even the Tide and the Axe were taken out by Hokori there in Phase 3. So,
I
if they're
think
looking...
really it's like the Pit Ward. It's really just Pit Ward. Underlord is the biggest hero that stands out to me. Looking at everything else, it feels sort of subpar. They could maybe try to go for a hero like you could try to run the Pugna. We saw for Zoomers running that in a sort of similar situation, but then again, you don't have that frontline hero. You don't have anybody to stand behind. It's not going to feel fantastic. Aside from Pitward, I'm really sort of at a loss for words. That hero would sort of edge out the issues that they currently have. It doesn't give them that sort of secondary jump hero. Everything is going to be on Papa Tootie at that point, but I'm sure they're in a very similar situation. They're kind of stumped themselves because if you do pick Pitward, everything is going to be on Papa Tootie. Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Pango's not too bad, but it's definitely it's risky. All of these heroes are going to feel sort of risky, and if D2 Hustlers ever fall apart, if the pecking order is a little bit too good from Hokori, then they're just going to fall apart at the seams.
Yeah, there's... It just feels like there's so much that can go wrong for the D2 Hustlers lineup, although the reverse of that is if everything sort of gets played together perfectly, then there's quite a lot for them to work with in terms of both damage and lockdown. So high risk, high reward, it sort of feels for D2 Hustlers. The execution is going to have to be there. There's really very little margin for error, but well, we'll see how it works. Are going to be loading into the game here. Hokori looking for this 2-0 sweep, trying to sort of salvage an even record on the day. They lost their first series, as we sort of previously mentioned, so they're currently sitting at a 1-2 record for today's matches, 2-2, and they maintain a spot near the top of those standings, just a little ways behind both Undying and 4 Zoomers. Meanwhile, for D2 Hustlers, they got to sort of start getting it in gear here. A 1-2 record for them to kick off this group stage. They still have plenty of Dota to play, but points on the board right here and now would really set them up in a strong position as we move into the second half of that schedule. So we'll see if they can make this lineup work. We'll see how dynamic that Davai Lama gets to be on that Pangolier. He has a lot of potential to make plays, dish out damage, and keep those opposing heroes locked down, but as we were sort of alluding to before, the execution needs to be perfect. He can't exactly run into his teammates too often and sort of lose that initial push forward.
And that is sort of a fault that might be sort of exploited, where Hokori do have to pick and choose their targets. They do need to sort of keep the lockdown on one hero. Those are some crazy lines from Yuma. That is interesting. But if they aren't able to sort of maintain that lockdown, every single core on D2 Hustlers is very mobile. They are able to sort of get in and out of these fights. And at the same time, if they're able to find that Ancient Apparition, pick him off, we've seen how important this AA is for a lot of teams. If you can get that AA blast off, there are really a lot of heroes that would otherwise not die. So if they lose that AA in the beginning of a lot of these team fights, that's where the mobility might come in handy for the D2 Hustlers, where maybe you can weave in and out of the fights, you sort of reset and reinitiate. And that's when Hokori does need to be careful, because aside from the Storm Spirit, they are very immobile. The Mars and the CK really like getting set up, tanking up, taking a lot of damage, and they are beefy boys, but there is going to be a point in this game where they can definitely die to, especially to that Pango roll.
Right. I do like that you've pointed that out. We were talking all throughout the draft about the ability for Hokori to jump in, get on that backline, hit up the Shadow Demon, hit up the Snapfire, take them down quickly, but that is a two-way street. The Ancient Apparition, the Rubik, even the Storm in some situations, they're not very survivable heroes, and if D2 Hustlers can sort of pull the reverse situation, if they're the squad pushing in and sniping out those heroes first, then Hokori's team fight then takes a rather sizable step backwards. So it sounds kind of simple, but at the end of the day, it may just come down to that. Whoever can sort of get those quick and easy pickoffs into the backline and then get out or reposition successfully is going to be in a fantastic position to take these fights. As Gardic, that's going to be a little bit of damage onto him. 1437 hits him up with a disruption into some right clicks, and that takes down about half of his HP, but Gardic, he's still going to make his way to the lane. Has to TP, though, so some resources being burned, but now Davai Lama alone in the lane. As the Shadow Demon went for that play, he's not there to back up the Pango, so, I mean, some damage onto your Ancient Apparition in exchange for a pretty heavy hit onto the Pango. I think that works out well for Hokori.
And that's where Hokori, just their execution needs to be incredibly solid, because 1437 will be able to save the initial go, and that's where that execution and that high skill will sort of come into play. It's not about who you initially try to burst, it's the next person, then the next person after that. If you can make 2 or 3 targets sort of get hit, then Hokori are going to find success in their team fights. If they try to blow everything on one person and 1437's on point, that's when the fights are going to get a little bit hairy.
Yeah, that defensive power from the Shadow Demon's so potentially valuable here as 1437 looking to prevent the side pull, and he does manage to get it off, even using the disruption there just to sort of put Gardic under. So he's not... Oh, wait, hold on a second. Okay. Creeps get pulled over by the illusions, so that's not quite the same pull, but it does kind of work. What in the world? One melee creep, one range creep getting pulled over, but now 1437 is actually in trouble himself. Hit up by that bolt into the cold feet. Will it stun? It doesn't matter. Lumiere's got the damage, and they will be able to find first blood.
And you have to be careful. It's just that level 2 tick where you finally have the Chilling Touch, you have the Reality Rift, and this is a very, very potent lane where you get the Reality Rift into the Chilling Touch hit, you take that little hit for another 3 armor, and it really starts to hurt and add up. And again, they're just going to run at the Shadow Demon. They know if they try to kill Divine Llama, he's just going to be saved. So up until that point, you would have wanted 1437 to... Oh, we're going?
You're going to try for it. Divine Llama going to get stunned up. He's dead again. Okay, well, 1437, I mean, he used the disruption there, but he uses it onto the CK, so that's not enough time for the Panko to fall back. Lumiere just keeps on charging forward between himself and Gardic. They've got the lockdown and the damage, and I mean, we were talking about the defensive power for 1437, and yes, it is there, but if he's not using it in the right context, once he throws out the disruption, he literally had nothing else. He was still level 1 when that fight went down, so he's basically out of the fight entirely after that point as Gardic. Nice play. Divine Llama rejoining in time. Swashbuckle level 2 is in for the damage, and D2 Hustlers finally able to get something for themselves there, but oh, I don't know. That's a nice kill, but the fact that Divine Llama goes down initially kind of spoils it just that little bit.
Lumiere will be able to farm a lot of these creeps pretty much uncontested underneath tower, especially now level 3. He has that Chaos Strike, but usually you make those plays when you do have that Orb of Corrosion, and it will fly out for the Llama now. That's when Lumiere does need to be a little bit careful of going up into the wave, and hopefully we'll see the Llama pick up an early point in the shield crash, because that will really sort of make it a lot harder for him to die, especially when that sort of harassing Reality Rift comes out. But a nice pull will get Llama at least level 4 here.
Yeah, falling back under the tower for this one, so he is going to be mostly uncontested. Meanwhile, you see that Shadow Demon, 1437, we've been talking about it in pretty much every game he's played. He is so focused in on this efficiency, on stacking up these camps, and he is presumably, yeah, going to get the double pull off there again, or double stack rather, excuse me. So he's just going to keep on setting that up for his teammates. It's always a sort of fallback plan, and I'm not sure if Divine Llama is going to, going to need that sort of catch-up farm or not, but either way, it will be there for him, as this time, that disruption will come through onto the Panko to save him up.
Yep, and just 1437 not showing, making it a little bit harder for his enemies to tell where he is. And actually, Analog just farms up the stack that 1437 made just a few moments ago. But still, easy save. But Divine Llama...
he's still in some danger there. Falls back to the tower. Going to be able to get himself out of trouble. Pops the salve in the tango, so he will be okay for now. But Hokori continue to sort of poke and prod at him. They've taken him down once already, so I mean, there's a reason for them to look for these plays, right? They know that they're capable of it if Divine Llama sort of makes that positional mistake. So it's maybe not the highest percentage play, but it's worth at least exploring it as for 1437. Can he get himself out? Disruption is buying time, but it's not going to be enough. The stun comes through. It will cost Gardic his life, and oh, nice wait, salve. They don't get it. 1437 will live. It's Gardic being taken down. Now Lumiere's on the run. Good TP in from Papatui to try and keep this one going, but ooh. Okay, Lumiere turns around for the stun. It is not going to be a direct kill for him, but no, he's not.
Barely.
Oh, Lumiere, he thought he was safe. He just needed a little bit more time, but Divine Llama hits him up. And D2 Hustlers, I mean, they swing that one pretty dramatically. They get 2 kills in the top lane. The Mars ended up getting taken down as well over on the other side of the map. So we go from what was looking like maybe a bit of a strong start from Hokori in that top lane to all of a sudden an even kill count here at 4-4.
And they do need to be careful. It was just that level 3 tick where you had the 2 points in Little Shredder, just that much more fixed damage, and just got a little bit greedy most likely on the Mars. And not having that chainmail, I'm guessing he just bought it out and then respawned with it, not having enough armor to tank up. But yeah, on the top lane, just one too many procs, and now Lumiere has to walk all the way back to his lane. He isn't going to miss too many creeps, I don't think, but still, Devilam is level 6 now, and he can definitely start to make plays out on the map.
Yeah, that Rolling Thunder just going to be so unbelievably crucial for D2 Hustlers in terms of any real aggressive play. Speaking of aggression, though, Analog has made his way down bot, but we do get a TP in here. Both of the supports have made it into the lane. I'm not sure that's going to be enough, though. Yuma is still in some danger. Analog, though, he's going to have to give up on the play, but here comes Papatuti TPing in, looking for Vitaly. They're going to jump in onto the Mars to simulate. Not going to clip him, but Vitaly is still pushing back. The Shadow Poison's on him, but only 2 stacks. It shouldn't be enough to finish him off as everyone goes their separate ways, but that's 4 heroes for Hustlers in the bottom lane, 3 for Hokori, and somehow nobody dies.
And it feels like it was a slight misplay from both spirits there. Papatuti threw his Aether Remnant into a creep wave, and Analog had at least 1 or 2 missips there. Otherwise, maybe the Void would have been in a little bit more trouble. Only having 1 point in that time walk, Yuma's being incredibly greedy with his skill build. Has a 3rd point in it as well, but not punished for it, thankfully. And we'll just go sort of their separate ways. Everybody gets to farm.
Misho, I want to be a bit careful here. He's going to get slowed up by the dilation. Nice spear from Vitaly, but it's not enough. Yuma time walks forward, gets the kill. The Cookie stun does still connect. The rebuke sort of cancels out the movement, but the stun is still there, and Divine Llama is in with the swashbuckle to pick up the kill. So D2 Hustlers with a solid move there. They just push in. They sort of realize the Rubik is maybe drifting a little bit too far away from the lane without the immediate backup that he would have needed, and they pounce all over it. 2 kills going their way, and the lead for Hokori is going to get cut down pretty significantly off the back of that.
And we should see sort of everyone quiet down now, as up until we get those cookies on the Snapfire, we shouldn't see this Void being able to really make any successful rotations with his Chronosphere, but he's definitely going to be looking towards this mid. Oh, Analog just stole it from Devi.
He tried. Devi Llama in there. He's going to go for the Rolling Thunder now, but this... Okay, I was going to say it's a defensive move from him, but he's actually going forward. Not sure how successful this will be, though, and yeah, he's going to back off. But by this point, Misho's in. He's going to try to keep himself in range for the telekinesis, but not able to connect. And now Papatuti, he thought about it. He definitely thought about it, but he's not going to push in entirely. So that would have been a little bit risky for him. He still had 2 charges up in the Astral Step, but you never really know, especially considering the fact that the Storm is still in the area. So not worth the risk. Everybody backs away. Analog gets the Arcane Rune, but the good news with that play from the Pango is that he doesn't really get the chance to do much with it. He does farm up with the Arcane, but he's not able to use it in terms, in terms of any offensive capacity. And as I say that, yeah, Pandago's going to get jumped in on. Can they get him out? No, not even a little bit. Analog is going to get that kill. Vitaly, he goes for the rebuke, but doesn't actually go in for the final right click just to make sure that Analog would get it. So the efficiency coming into play there for Hokori.
They're looking for Lumiere. They're going to catch him if they... Yeah, he's walking up that... And this is awful, actually. They used everything, and they didn't get anything. They just lost 14-37, and they walked away. Devi Llama with his Rolling Thunder. That felt really weird.
And Devi Llama, he's not out. Okay, maybe he is out as Yuma's going to get the Chrono, but yeah, he can't move. Oh, not enough. Misho hits him up with the right click. They are going to be able to find that kill, so Yuma trying to play the role of the hero. Instead, he sort of guarantees that his teammate will die. Doesn't get any kills with that Chrono either, but now that Ice Blast is going to fly through, and that's it. 14-37, and Yuma can't really afford to go any further forward. They do have to now back off, but 14-37 apparently didn't get that memo. He will be taken down as Lumiere jumps in with that sort of Chaos Bolt play, and they will be able to find that kill. Meanwhile, over in the river, Pandago and Papatuti jumping in onto Gardic. They will find that quick pickup, but they got to back out before Vitaly can sort of make his move in, but he didn't have the arena to commit to that fight.
But winning that fight, it feels very strange. Misho as well is just playing with Yuma. He's trying to be very obnoxious. I think he's going to get punished here. Yeah, is just going to get cleaned up. But trying to make that play into Lumiere's own jungle, he has a Midas. There's a 4K gold lead already emerging. Again, all of the cores on Hokori feels like they're out farming everyone on D2 Hustlers.
Yeah, you take a look at the net worth tab here. Yeah, all 3 of those cores Sitting up at the top, feeling relatively confident right now. As where in the world is that Ice Blast going? Is that all the way back to the base? Doo-doo-doo. Yes, it is. It's going to hit onto no one as Yuma TP'd out in time, but yeah, why not? If you're the Ancient Apparition, hit him up, maybe try and slow down that healing, but he doesn't hit it, but at that point it's such a low cooldown that it really doesn't matter. He's got 15 seconds left for it anyway, so a speculative shot, not really going to connect.
And we'll really see, again, without that Chronosphere, Yuma used it, but he was slightly separated from Pandago, so we didn't see the return kills coming in from those kisses. And there really isn't another hero to set that up. Papa Tootie might be able to do it with the Remnant, but he's sort of spec'd not into that build. He's getting more points in Resonant Pulse. He doesn't have that lockdown he otherwise would, and still making his way towards that Eul Scepter. Once he has it, the Storm Spirit does need to be a little bit cautious, but at the same time, Analog is just farming peacefully towards his Orchid.
How close is he now? Maybe not quite an imminent purchase, but he is starting to get pretty close here, so that is going to be coming out relatively soon as Papa Tootie. Okay. Doesn't want to get too close to Vitaly there. Uses the Dissimulate just to make sure that he can maintain that separation. So he is going to be keeping himself safe for now. Vitaly, though, bottled up an Illusion Rune. Okay. Not really going to be able to do too much with that at the moment, however. So no immediate opportunities, or maybe there will be. Vitaly's getting close. He's spotted 1437, I believe.
Don't
He
think he has
certainly
a
sees
tree.
him now.
And they're coming to punish him.
Oh, yeah, this is getting a little bit rough, but there's going to be the arena into the spear stun. Ice Blast is coming through as well. 1437 is going to get hit up by it. Almisho, meanwhile, stole the Rolling Thunder, so he's getting in there with that cube, locking multiple enemy heroes down. Can they get the kill, though? No, but they do get Vitaly away, so that's going to be probably a little bit more important, but Analog actually gets caught out in that sort of north side jungle. Yuma locks him down with the Chrono, and he and Pandago will find the kill. Meanwhile, the fight's actually not done down bot. Papa Tootie pushing his way in, going for the Dissimulate here. He's going to get the damage onto Vitaly, swashbuckle in for Divine Llama as well. And can they actually finish this one off? Almisho will be taken down. They're going to look for the TP for Gardic. He's going to be able to get it out, but Vitaly doesn't make it away.
Yeah, and they synced up. Finally, Yuma got the freebie with the kisses. They were able to find the Storm Spirit in the topside jungle. They would have loved the Chaos Knight, but he's already made his rotation towards that triangle, and they do still need to be very cautious. But yeah, seeing this CK ulti, they might decide to just back out of here.
They want this tower so bad, but it's not really going to be worth it at this point, especially with more reinforcements coming. There's going to be the zip in, though, for Analog. Starting the fight. In onto Pandago. Can they lock him down? Yes, they can. Lumiere gets the first kill, and that's D2 Hustler's cue to leave as the Rubik takes the Astral Step. Okay. That's pretty big. A lot more mobility for him as they're going to spot out Divine Llama there momentarily, but Rolling Thunder's already come through. Divine Llama should be okay. He's going to get caught up on the sort of ramp just a little bit, but he is making his way out of this fight. But they might continue to chase here. There's going to be another zip. That's a long one all the way on to 1437. They will be able to find it. Now Vitaly in with the arena, dropping down the spear. They've locked down Divine Llama. Papa Tootie trying to get himself out of here, but he won't survive either. The buyback comes in from the Pango, but at this point, it's well too late to really have an impact here. But he's going to try to lock Analog down. Doesn't have the damage for it, though, and he is alone under his tower. Almisho coming in, looking for that telekinesis into the Reality Rift, into the Chaos Bolt stun. They've got him locked down. Is there another spear coming out? Yes, there is, and that's enough damage. Vitaly gets the kill, and D2 Hustlers just kind of fall apart in that fight. That goes so horribly for them.
And it feels like they're not close enough to get the saves. The spears happened. Papa Tootie also just committed absolutely in that arena. He didn't weave any spells to get out. He dissimulated in, as a matter of fact, and he 100% gets punished for it. And you don't have Chrono, so you have to make these plays completely reliant on the Llama, but you already get your roll forced out, and Hokori, they just pull the trigger.
Papa Tootie able to spot out Amisha, though, so they do get a quick kill there, but still leaves them down by about 6,000 net worth. So it's a nice kill. Quick, easy, very little in the way of resources needing to be expended there, but if that's the way they're going to try and get back into it, they're going to need maybe a half dozen more plays like that one. But at least he gets Papa Tootie a little bit more here. That Eul Scepter's finished off by him, and now a bit of a decision for him to make. Does he go for something along the lines of the Aghanim Scepter? Do we see maybe a bit more of a defensive play, like the Blink Dagger out for him? Whichever one he picks is potentially going to dictate really how aggressive his team can afford to play over the next maybe 10 minutes or so.
He needs the Blink Dagger because otherwise there's no way for him to save whoever is getting jumped on in that arena. And we see they're synced up again. They have the kisses. They have a smoke out on Yuma. They want to look for another freebie. but we're getting to the point where the damage is starting not to be there, and they want to make a play on this mid tower, but Amisho is just being so obnoxious. He's been really holding this mid wave for the longest time now. This is the third cart wave that he's sort of been here to just stand in front and nuke it out. And D2 Hustlers, they don't have a very assured push. There's no hero to really sit behind or sit in front of. They have to play around these carts if they want to find objectives. And
Oh god,
got
Analog, he's
nothing.
going for it. He wants to zip in onto Papatuti. Missed the
Orchid?
kill the first time. Still not going to be able to get it. Papatuti gets away. Analog, though, will turn his attention to other targets. They've got Divine Llama spotted out. He had already used that Rolling Thunder, so they're going to try to finish him off here, but that's a nice defensive disruption from 1437. I don't know if it's going to... Oh, actually, okay, it may not be enough to save Divine Llama, but it does buy him the time he needs to get the kill, but that shield crash doesn't get him over the wall, as he is just stuck in the river and will be finished off. Lumiere able to pick up the double, but well, if you're D2 Hustlers, at least you're able to sort of extract a couple of kills out of that one, but it's still a 3 for 2 in Hokori's favor.
And it's a little bit unfortunate. I think that's the Shadow Demon bug that happened there, where you disrupt an ally and the enemy team can't tell when it's going to end. They turn almost invisible. So he didn't know when to spear the Pango, so that does result in Analog's death. But at the same time, you're getting all these kills. You had to use the kisses, so Yuma doesn't have that easy target to sync up, and he was farming the entire time. But you have this more aggressive, more active Chaos Knight on the enemy team, and you're not building really enough damage to deal with him as of right now. And that's the big issue for D2 Hustlers, is that how do you kill this Chaos Knight? I don't think there really is a really easy answer to that, as you don't have a Spirit Vessel in the works. You're getting a Blink Dagger on Divine Llama, which is great, but I think the defensive tools, and it doesn't feel like they have many defensive tools on the Hokori side, but just the tankiness inherent to their lineup is going to sort of solve their issues.
Yeah, that's a scenario we see play out for Hokori pretty significantly, and with other Chaos Knight picks. Lost my train of thought there. Especially, I think back in the day, it was sort of Beast Coast who would run it there for K1. You get to a point on this CK where he's just too big. You get yourself something like a Satanic and or sort of Harder to Rask, and he just pushes into the middle of the fight and dares anyone on the opposing side, to really go up against him 1v1, and almost every single time there's no one that can match up. And we're sort of seeing that for D2 Hustlers. The closest that they've got in terms of just sort of straight up damage potential is out of Yuma, but I don't think Yuma can really do it that quickly. So this CK is going to become a problem for them moving forward. We'll see if they sort of pivot in terms of the itemizations to try and better deal with him, but as of right now, the trajectory that the CK is on is a very favorable one for him.
And he has the BKB now. As soon as he gets that Blink Dagger, that's when the game is going to start to feel crushing for the Hustler side, as you have that next go hero where if you jump in on the CK, you can't chrono him because he's not going to die, because the rest of the team is going to be jumping around behind him, all coming on top of you. And it looks like they're going to have that Blink Dagger around probably the same time as Vitaly's, and that's when D2 Hustlers really need to be incredibly cautious with their positioning, because as I said, they don't really have the best push. So if Hokori can get on top of their buildings after a few kills, everything's just going to start to fall apart.
Already down by 7,000 net worth right now, and that's not even really taking into account much of anything objective-wise. Hokori have only taken a single tier 1, so as you were mentioning, if it continues to go in sort of the same way that it has been so far, these teamfight wins are going to lead into more and more map control, as Hokori, they're pushing their way across here. This smoke play is going to get them into some solid position, as they will spot out Pandago first. Papatuti is actually going to jump in, though, looking for some sort of fight, but I don't know if this is what they want. Papatuti is already going to get stunned up, and he's just straight up dead. The stolen Mortimer Kiss is even coming in there to help secure that one, as Lumiere finds both of the kills, and now here comes Analog. How far forward does he go? Okay, not that far. Uses about half of his mana before he realizes there's no one left in range to fully commit onto. But 2 kills go in the way of Hokori.
And they're just completely caught off guard by that one. They still have this mid tier 1 tower, so they thought that they would have been a little bit safer, but they just put up a little bit of vision. They have really good vision to sort of hold the gates to their jungle. And Lumiere is actually getting beat up a little bit.
And that BKB will be forced out from him, so that is going to probably be Hokori's cue to fall back. Without that BKB, I don't know how confident they really would feel pushing in, but the Mortimer Kisses are going to be deployed onto this, onto the Mars, and Vitaly, I mean, his teammates have basically left him behind, so he is just stuck here, and there's really no way out for him. He can try and draw this out for as long as possible, but he will still be dying.
And that's something they do need to be cautious of. They did pick the CK into the Shadow Demon. If 1437 can get that disruption off, he does do an incredible amount of damage. And Papatuti mid.
Oh god. Competing Dissimulate's coming out there as Elmisho able to jump himself away. Gardic even threw the Ice Blast in there, so that's just going to act as a bit of a deterrent, making sure that Papatuti and Divine Llama aren't going to go any further forward for that kill onto the Rubik. So a nice little sort of defensive effort there for the AA. Again, Ice Blast low cooldown, so if he has to throw it out to protect his teammate in that middle lane, it's pretty much going to be worth it. But now Analog might want to be careful here. There's a Chrono up on Yuma, and they're going to go for it. Chrono Zero will be committed. The Storm is locked down. Can they actually finish him off in time, though? Well, yeah, they can. Yuma comes in for the damage. They had the Purge in from 1437 as well, just in case. And they will be able to find a big pickoff. And for that Storm, you can't afford to be that far out by yourself there, especially if you don't have vision on where Yuma actually is.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels a little bit strange because you have this ward from the Hokori side scouting out that the triangle is not being farmed. And you already see 3 or 4 heroes pushing into that mid wave. That might have been the sort of safety net that Analog thought he had. But again, oh, they're trying to make a dive onto the Rubik.
Misho in some trouble. Aether Remnant pulls him in, and yeah, he's gone. 1437 in with the Shadow Poison for the kill. Divine Llama, I don't really know if that Rolling Thunder was necessary, but they just wanted to get the kill, and they now set themselves up for a tower push off the back of this. Tier 1 mid is dropping, but Vitaly, where was that spear going? Okay. That's not fantastic, but they do still get in onto Papatuti. They'll hit him up with the Reality Rift. However, Papatuti is able to get himself away. He's going to look to sort of maybe heal up and then push back in if his teammates want to keep this fight going. And at this stage, it looks like they have the opportunity. They've got 5 heroes around that sort of mid-tier 1, and Vitaly is pushing maybe a bit too forward, but he does get the spear down. Analog tries to push in as well, but Divine Llama is going to be able to get himself away. Meanwhile, Gardic and 1437 trade each other out there, so the two supports are going to go down, and at this point, Hokori, they've used so much already. Analog has very little mana and only about half his HP, so they're going to try to back themselves away, and it doesn't look like D2 Hustlers will catch up to him just yet, but they'd rather go in for the tower, although Vitaly is going to try and stop him. Jumping in, going for the Yules into the spear stun. Papatuti pulled up onto the high ground now by the Electric Vortex as well, but the Dissimulate will get him back into the river, so he's okay for the time being. As Vitaly goes down, Divine Llama, though, traded out again, so it's still an even exchange, but Lumiere going to start to get himself involved. Pushing forward, going for that Chaos Bolt stun. Pandago, meanwhile, in with the cookie. That does buy a little bit of time, but Pandago will still fall. Papatuti, however, is able to get away under the cover of the Glimmer Cape. So it looks like they're not going to be able to take him down. The TP will get the Void Spirit home. However, 1437 makes the defensive play to save his buddy, but will sacrifice his own life in the process. Lumiere grabs the triple kill, and now Yuma. He's still here. This is a little bit awkward. He does have the silence on him now. The Vortex will pull him into the fight as well. Elmisho even hitting him up with a stolen Remnant, and they've got it. Ultra kill for Lumiere, but Divine Llama going to work, trying to get that stun down continuously onto the Storm Spirit. Analog, though, able to zip away, and now Divine Llama, he's stuck in this fight with no backup. Lumiere gets the Rampage.
Wow. That was just crazy. That was so well executed from Elmisho. He at first started off with that Void Spirit time lock. He's kept alive for so long. Papatuti stayed there. He stays in his own Dissimulate aggressively, trying to get the damage, and that's the power of the CK. He keeps the fight going for so long, and you just keep on flooding heroes. Papatuti was able to escape at the end of the day, but and Elmisho, even with the Aether Remnant steal, he just kept them sort of down. That was crazy.
Yeah, fantastic play from, obviously, Lumiere to get the Rampage there, but without Elmisho, I don't think he gets maybe 2 or 3 of those kills, so the Rubik is absolutely killing it right now, and speaking of which, they're jumping in on Papatuti again. They've got him hit up with the Spear Stun, and Hustlers at this point really just feel like they are losing any sense of cohesion. Pandago goes down, he'll buy back immediately. Papatuti, though, actually not dead just yet, but he is still dropping low on HP. Yuma, though, comes in, dropping down the Chrono onto 2, but they're not going to be able to get any kills. As Lumiere, Lumiere, hold on. He's dead, okay. Not able to get himself out of that one, but now here comes Analog, zipping in. He's looking for Papatuti. Going to be able to hit him up with the Electric Vortex. Needs the vision, though. He will be able to pop the dust, but at this point, he's used way too much of his mana. Papatuti actually still not dead yet. He has about 15 HP, but he lives, and Analog is the one to go down. ET, what the hell's happening? These fights don't make any sense.
And it feels like that was just a massive throw from the Hokori side. We see Divine Llama also gets a solo kill on the other side of the map. This is a really strange game because now, yeah, they go immediately into the pit. Pandago, Snapfire, he has a Solar Crest, you have the Pango. This isn't the fastest Roche by any means, but it feels like they overstayed their welcome. They tried to get the fast kills onto Papatuti. He wasn't able to get the skill he wanted on Elmisho, and then now there's an Aegis on the Void. What a whirlwind of a game. I don't know. This is a roller coaster.
Yeah, the circus is in town, ladies and gentlemen, because we have some just clowny plays. Like, nobody wanted to win that fight, I guess. It's just mistakes on one side countered out by some questionable decisions on the other, and at the end of the day, if you're D2 Hustlers, you are the sort of last squad standing in terms of some degree of success there. They win the fight, they get the Aegis into the Void Spirit's, Faceless Void's hands, and out of all of that, I mean, they've cut this deficit down to about 4,500. So it's almost hard to say that they necessarily deserve to be on this surge, considering the fact that they made quite a few mistakes themselves, but they pull it together in time. Hokori just lose sight of it. I don't really know. Lost focus, communication breakdown, whatever it was. But D2 Hustlers very much back into this game now and looking for even more, but their opponents are looking to reestablish control. Things got a little bit out of hand before, but a 5-man smoke should get them into another potential fight. The question is, where and when can they take it? They're looking for the wraparound. D2 Hustlers have several heroes hanging out near that middle lane. All of these trees are gone, so those sightlines are unobstructed.
And they have to be so cautious with the jump. Devilama just shows for a second there, but really the Hustlers, they've weeded out any of Hokori's vision. Before, that's the only reason Hokori decided to make that play, is they still had that big ward up on the hill. They were able to see everything before they got into that fight. But again, you didn't have all of your ultimates. You had the Phantasm, or you didn't have the Phantasm on the Chaos Knight, and that really is a lot of his damage. That's what makes the hero feel sort of so broken and overwhelming. And now you let the Chrono come back off cooldown, and if Yuma finds anything, he's going to be very happy.
There's Vitali getting jumped in on right away. Mortimer Kiss is deployed. Vitali will die. Gardic now in some trouble as well. Glimmer Cape buys him a little bit of time. He is going to try and make his escape, and actually don't see him slip away. So he's going to be able to TP himself out of there, but there's other issues to deal with. El Misho, well, okay, never mind. He steals the Rolling Thunder, and he will use it to TP away. So nice play from the Rubik to get out. It's only going to be Vitali that goes down, but that's still a nice kill for D2 Hustlers. Really don't have to use anything outside of the Kisses and the Rolling Thunder.
And already Papatude is pinging top. He's trying to set up on the Void.
They want to go in onto it. They've caught him out. Can they get this? The Storm is in trouble. Oh my god, Analog, just get out. He's going to zip himself away. That Purge did so much damage to him. And not quite enough to finish him off. Analog has to blow all of his mana, though, to get away from that fight. So he is out, but without Analog, I don't know if there's any response here. El Misho and Gardic just can't do really anything. But mid, what is this? Lumiere? All right, he's in, trying to get Divine Llama. That's a bit of an awkward pause.
You make best situation out of no situation.
Misclick. Oops. Well, okay, we're back into it. Lumiere is going to start backing himself away. D2 Hustlers don't really want to chase him at that point. It's still a very tanky CK. They've gotten to him once or twice, but chasing after the CK with a double damage rune is a recipe for disaster. So they'll just back off. Everybody stays safe, and we will basically reset.
And the past several Phantasms, they've all been used to farm. It feels like now Hokori really want to take a step back and respect this Aegis, but at the same time, it feels like this didn't need to be the game that we're in. It felt like this wasn't the game we were in. Hokori were really taking all of the team fights up until this point. Maybe Devilama getting a few plays here and there, but anything that happened in the first 25 minutes of this game doesn't matter, because now D2 Hustlers, they sort of have to, you have to feel the respect.
El Misho picked off there in the south side jungle. Quick and easy kill for D2 Hustlers. He did throw down an Obs Ward before he died, though. So, or actually, that's an old Obs Ward, but either way, it is there for the Vision. Unfortunately, that Vision didn't do much to save the Rubik. So, El Misho down for the count. There's a buyback available, but I don't think there's any other fight going Hokori's way that's going to require that Rubik's presence. They're just sort of backing off right now and trying to farm their way back into this. And sure, that plan sounds good for Lumiere, but the more time that goes on here, it feels like the more and more D2 Hustlers are going to start sort of chipping away at this current deficit. I don't know how much of a lead they could build up for themselves, but Lumiere is going to be strong, but his teammates at this point seem to be maybe dropping off a little bit, but the Storm is still working on it, and as we sort of mentioned before, Analog on that Storm, a very strong hero in the late game, so he could sort of pick it back up, but as of right now, he seems to be lagging behind compared to some of the other cores.
And it really feels like an uncomfortable position. He's trying to get the shard now on Lumiere, which will create sort of a scary illusion. I think that is the Chaos Bolt creates a phantom illusion for 6 seconds, but while there is a smoke up from Hokori, I don't know who they would want to break on. They want to find the back line, but Divine Llama immediately.
Well,
Perfect play.
Analog's still in, though. BKB active. They're going to look for the play. Ice Blast is coming in here as well, but now Yuma in with the Chronosphere. They're going to turn it around. Mortimer Kiss is deployed. Analog dropping low. Analog taking down. Fatali saves himself for now with the Yule Scepter, but, oh boy, he's still dead. Yuma just tracks him down. We'll be able to get the kill, and this is turning into a bit of a slog for the Hokori side. They've already lost 2, and El Misho is on the run now. Can they actually track him down? No, they can't, or at least not yet, but Yuma was able to find himself a kill onto Gardic there further to the south, so they do still find that third pick, but now Vitali buying back. Not really sure how much he's going to be able to do here. He does come in for the spear. That is going to lock down Yuma momentarily, but Lumiere is kind of alone on the other side of this fight. He's going to pop the BKB, though. No TP for 30 seconds, so he's still just stuck in this, but he is doing a lot of damage. 1437 will be taken down, but Lumiere still on the run. He's tanky, but I don't think he's this tanky, as he is slowly but surely going to get worked down. Dabai Llama pushing into the fight. Yuma just going to go in over and over again with those right clicks, getting the occasional bash down as well, and Lumiere will be finished off.
And the fight just takes a little bit too long. I don't know if Lumiere needs to save his ultimate or they need to wait a little bit longer, but it felt like he just got completely kited by Papa Tutti. And Papa Tutti, playing on the edge, he just continuously dodges out the Chaos Bolts with his Dissimulate. At the same time, Yuma finding the perfect two-man chrono. This is just feeling awful now. It feels like D2 Hustlers, they've really shored up all their execution problems. Well, Vi is going to go down bottom, but still, it feels like Yuma is sort of playing out of his mind. It feels like he's the hero right now to sort of crawl them out of the pit.
Yeah, building himself up quite nicely here. He's pulled to within about 2 or 3k of that Chaos Knight. So I know that doesn't maybe sound super impressive right now, but considering the start that this sort of Lumiere CK had before, the fact that Yuma's closing the gap really in any capacity is cause for concern if you're Hokori, and that kill into Divine Llama, that is a nice play for them. They're going to get a little bit of that back, but you see the momentum, it's already slipped through their fingers. You take a look at the graph here, they were up by 8, 9k, somewhere in that sort of area, and that lead is now gone completely. D2 Hustlers have fought their way all the way back into this, and at this stage, we see Roshan potentially coming up about 45 seconds from now, so that could very well determine what the rest of this game looks like. If D2 Hustlers can actually take Roshan or maybe even win another fight prior to that point, then I'm not entirely sure what Hokori do at that point. They're going to be too far on the back foot to sort of immediately recover.
And Hokori, there is definitely something to be said that if this CK, if the Phantasm is too successful, if they sort of let that backline get broken down, Hustlers will still crumble. There is not that sort of assured backbone in their body yet. Once he has the Scotty on Void, he'll be sitting at like 3.3k HP. Then maybe you could say that things are going to feel pretty stable. But if they stop respecting the CK or they get a little too ahead of themselves, Lumiere could definitely pull another Rampage out. He could definitely kill everyone. But again, he's having to use this Phantasm to push out the lanes. He's trying to get as farmed as he can. He's building, I think, an Orchid for himself right now. He just bought out a Shadow Blade. His build feels a little bit strange. Also, just like, get a heart, man. Try to get something else. It feels a little bit strange what he's building up, especially since he needs to be that sort of monster hero. But I guess they're just aiming not to fight.
Misho, well, he's not going to be able to avoid that one. Papa Tutti will take him down, but yeah, like, we were sort of talking about it a little while back, sort of talking about the way teams like Beast Coast and Thunder Predator in that South American region used to play that Chaos Knight. The Heart or the Satanic really was sort of that pivotal moment. That was what put him over the top. Instead, this fight, or excuse me, this build feels kind of broken. It feels like it's going in too many different directions.
Top.
Yep, top lane. They're going to jump in onto Vitali. Mars, no TP. He already got it canceled, so he's just going to have to run for his life, and there's no way he's making it out of here. There's really nowhere for him to go. They're just going to track him down. Purge going to come through, and okay, I don't know about that arena. That's not going to get you out of there. It's a 60-second cooldown, so I guess it's not going to be too big of a deal, especially considering he recently bought back, so he's dead for 100 anyway. So in that case, just let it fly on the arena. It doesn't save him, but he'll have it back up by the time he's alive again. But, well, what were we saying before? They find a kill, they take a fight, they take Roshan, and that's going to suddenly just change the way that the rest of this game looks, as D2 Hustlers are right in there, and they're going to take this fairly quickly.
And now Yuma gonna have that charge, gonna be able to move in and out of these fights. We'll see if he goes for that Aghanim Scepter next, but it really feels awful. And now that we've gone to this stage of the game, 1437, he has an Octarine core. You look at Pandago, he has a Ghost Scepter. Hokori have a much more complicated go-abouts for getting onto this backline now, as they've sort of been allowed the net worth and the space to sort of build these items that now the CK, while he has the Shadow Blade, it's really just to get in on that backline, try and find these heroes, get the pecking order right. But I still feel like he needs something else. He needs maybe a new hero at this point, because Analog has stopped showing up. He's stopped being the sort of secondary initiation that they've been needing to win these fights. He has a BKB finally, but there is nothing coming from this Storm Spirit. He has a lot of levels, but net worth wise, he is not the Brile that we saw just a few hours ago with today.
Yeah, what exactly has been happening? You take a look at the net worth. He's got 13,500, but Orchid BKB, that just feels like it's not enough. The Storm has, oh god, has not progressed nearly to the degree that he needs to. And you see there, he's trying for that sort of zip play, hoping to clear through the creep wave, but even that isn't really going to be enough right now. As okay, we've got all sorts of walking about. Misha was using the time walk and reverse time walk. Yuma decides to do it himself, and now Misha has to be careful. He has the Astral Step this time, so he's going to be able to jump away as the Storm zips in again, but this is the limit of what he's capable of right now. If they're not going to take a fight, then Analog is just burning through all of his mana, hoping to take out creep waves, and I suppose technically speaking he was successful, but the tier 3 tower loses over half of its HP in the process.
And at the same time, you see that Gardic and Lumiere, they use the Phantasm again. He's using it as a farming tool. He's trying to get these waves out. He's trying to get some semblance of farm, which he does have. He is the highest net worth hero in the game as of now. And with this MKB, maybe he's going to be able to find a kill. He has a Basher too. They're setting up on Yuma.
Oh, this would be big if they could get it. They're going to silence him up. They hit him with the telekinesis as well. Point blank, Ice Blast will connect, but yeah, as you said, they've got to get him a second time. What do they have to work with? Okay, Yuma, wow, he wants to fight. All right. That is bad. You poke the bear, and now all of a sudden, Yuma's just angry, and he's pushing his way forward. Gardic taken down, and Hokori, they've just got to run for their lives. That, I mean, okay, at the end of the day, Aegis for Ancient Apparition. That's still probably a good trade, but for some reason, they're hanging out after they take down the Aegis like they think maybe they can go in for a second time. They very clearly can't once Yuma's back up, but they don't really back away until it's a little bit too late there. So I'm not sure what happened communication-wise, but they stay a little too long, and they're lucky that the only person they lose is that AA.
And they wanted, it would be lovely if they would be able to kill Yuma that second time, but without that AA blast, it is going to feel pretty much impossible, especially now that he has the backtrack. I'm not entirely sure if the backtrack will still make him avoid damage. I'm guessing it does work that way, but it's just the healing. You can't afford to sort of waste your spells. You need that spell, especially now that he has that Scotty. He's sitting at 4,000 HP. He is incredibly tanky. If you're going to try and take down this Void, you need to do it in one fell swoop. If he gets off that time walk, the fight is basically over. And that's where we're going to see 1437 really need to be with his wits about him to try and find those saves. If he allows anybody on his team to die, then the fight is going to get really hairy. At the same time, Hokori, they need to be clean. They need to get in, get out. And that's why we see them sort of cutting their losses and trying to find as much farm as they can. We see two lanes already getting pushed out, and D2 Hustlers are sort of getting pushed around as of right now. They're not finding the sort of Hokori are left in their base. They're not getting pushed back. Nobody is still being forced to not farm. The lowest net worth hero really, or really the hero that I feel like has the lowest net worth or lower than he should be is Analog, but Lumiere, oh, he blinked out.
Able to get himself the kill there onto Pandago. Meanwhile, in the north side jungle, Batali going to get jumped in on an exchange. So the D2 Hustlers will still be able to find themselves that kill. And, core for support should go their way, but at least Hokori buys some time with that pickoff onto the Snapfire. 50 seconds on the sideline if they're not going to use the buyback. So they are trying to sort of draw this game out. But at this point, still a little bit confused here for Lumiere. He does finish off that Silver Edge, but we were talking earlier on, you mentioned with the sort of Scotty pickup that the Faceless Void was sitting on nearly 4,000 health. He's got more HP than the CK. For this point in the game, 40 minutes in, that hurts my brain. That should not be the way that this goes. It sort of seems to maybe fly in the face of everything we normally see from this Position 1 Chaos Knight, but that's the situation that we're in. Lumiere, though, is going to catch up a little bit as he does finish off the Abyssal Blade, so he's not nearly as tanky as we would normally expect him to be, but He's got a guaranteed stun. He's got the Silver Edge to try and get into the fight. Maybe just sort of doubling down on offensive firepower will be enough for him.
When we see Llama picking up that AN disc, not going to keep it locked up, but I feel like Papatuti really needs one. With this Abyssal Blade now, he's definitely going to be a target. He's going to be someone that Lumiere is going to try and find and kill at the beginning of these fights, as well as 1437. If he gets an AN disc, then I feel like this fight is still going to be very hard for Hokori to find. But again, they're just splitting the map right now. They're getting away with a lot of this split push, and they're sort of waiting for an opportunity where D2 Hustlers make a mistake. But it looks like somebody's dead here.
That's going to be Gardic who's taken down. Yuma... Actually, Yuma doesn't get it. Papatuti's in there to sort of sneak it away, so... Well, they find the kill, but that split push for Hokori did some nice damage to the tower. Tier 3 down to about 600 or so. So... I don't know, really. If you make that play, I think you're okay with it. The Ancient Apparition's dead, sure, but he's the only one who goes down. Tier 3 tower loses quite a bit of HP, and you force multiple TP rotations in from D2 Hustlers as well. So that's a relatively sort of low-cost play to shift D2 Hustlers across the map forcibly.
Yeah, and it feels like they are getting quite a lot of net worth across the board while this split push is sort of occurring. Looking at buybacks, I think pretty much everyone has it except for the carries. Lumiere is going to probably try to finish it bottom, and the smoke play looks like it's not going to work out. Vitaly could die. They want to keep him locked up on the low ground.
Oh, BKB wears off. Llama in with the Rolling Thunder, and they've got it. All right. Vitaly will be taken down. Those Mortimer Kisses don't really have anywhere left to go, so yeah, the second half of that spell not really going to have too much of an effect, but that's a big kill. They take down the Mars. He is one of the heroes who has his buyback available is Lumiere. And does get hit up down bot, but he is going to be able to pop that Silver Edge and TP himself away. So it is a nice play from 1437. He sort of, I guess, scares off the Chaos Knight. That's not really something that I feel like we should be saying at this point in the game for a Shadow Demon, but you saw it there. He just has to TP himself out. I think he was maybe a little bit concerned about other heroes making their way into the fight as well, but either way, that does force that Chaos Knight away, as Elmisho got away from the initial fight with the stolen Rolling Thunder, but he has no TP for 10, so he just has to sort of park it here in the tree line and hope nobody comes looking for him.
Well, and it's these opportunities that this split push really is allowing. Elmisho and Lumiere swapping spots. This bottom wave has just been a real thorn in their side, and D2 Hustlers haven't been decisive enough to have that hero already set up there with 1437 to try and find that pickoff. Even though he does have those boots of travel, he himself is probably afraid of getting gone on and getting killed. He needs somebody else to go there first, so that way he has somebody to sit behind and somebody to really get this Rubik or whoever out of here. And now we'll see Lumiere and the Rubik sort of sync up. So now they're trying to make a play bottom whenever a hero responds, because as of now, Hustlers haven't been decisive enough. They haven't touched that tier 3 tower top, even though they had that Mars pick for another 70 seconds. And it feels like the map is sort of starting to even out as Hokori have made some pretty good split push decisions as it's sort of gone on here.
Yeah, we are well and truly sort of approaching that sort of rat Dota kind of style, but if it's working for Hokori, if it's creating that space elsewhere on the map, giving them those opportunities to try and sort of get back into this, then it's the best possible plan for them. So they're not going to give up on it, but what is going on here? Ancient Apparition caught out in the jungle. TP canceled by the Yules as Gardic should be taken down, but again, it feels like Gardic is really one of only two heroes between himself and Elmisho who have been taken down in the last maybe 10 minutes. So their deaths are not going to really be that big of a deal, especially if Hokori can continue push elsewhere as 1437. What have you done? Oh, okay, he's going to try to bait, but no, Yuma actually gets hit up by both the Telekinesis and the Rolling Thunder before he can actually go in, and now he can't get this kill, can he? Lumiere is dropping low, and oh my god, they've actually got him. Okay, wow. Yuma has way more damage than I thought he did. He just burns his way through. Lumiere dead, Elmisho gone as well, and now 1437, I was sort of questioning the decision-making there. I don't think he was necessarily intending to just straight up sort of offer himself up, but that's the way it plays out. 3-for-1 trade in D2 Hustler's favor, and now they could look for more kills. They could push down the lanes. They could push into Roche as well. Roshan has respawned. Aegis Cheese and the Agnes Blessing all available as top. What's going on here? They're going to jump in onto Vitaly. Can they get him? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can. Papatuti and Llama get the kill. Analog. Yeah, that's not really going to accomplish a whole lot. Zips in, drops down that silence, but that Aeon Disc coming into play, helping to keep the Pangolier safe. And we were talking about it before, the fact that Analog really didn't feel like he was having too much of an impact anymore. It's sort of exemplified in that play. He zips in, well after all of his other teammates have died. He drops a silence that is ineffective and then just zips away. So he's not really having much of an impact now. And on the D2 Hustler side, it's looking pretty damn good. Aegis in the hands of the Faceless Void. He'll get himself that Aghanim's Blessing as well, while the cheese goes into the hands of, I believe, yeah, Divine Llama's going to get passed to him. So they've got Aegis, they've got 2 cheeses, they have an Aghanim's up now on the Faceless Void. They are good to go.
And the Void, when he wants to slot his BKB, he has almost over 5,000 HP. If you weren't killing him before, I don't know how you're going to kill him now. And they finally got the Rat's bottom. Of course, 1437 did end up dying. He did end up falling, but at what cost? And the execution from Hustlers has been really good ever since sort of that 30-minute mark where they turned this game around, where they're finding pretty consistently the kills that they need to make the plays. And now Hokori, they've got to be terrified. If they ever try to find out on the map or try to get anywhere, now it looks like they're finally ready to hold them in their base. They just scanned Yuma, but just gonna hit the tower, yeah.
Real quick, noticing here, nothing to do with the game, just sort of a mechanics thing for El Misho. The reverse time walk never sort of grays out the same way that the Faceless Voids does. So I don't know if that's a glitch or if somehow El Misho could still... I'm pretty sure he can. There's no way it could track it for that long, but El Misho stole the time walk and reverse time walk. He's trying for the split push now, so we will force my statement to be relevant as he now has to TP away. A nice little sort of split push play coming out again from him, though, and Lumiere, in the same vein, he's still hanging out here. He might even go on to Papa Tootie. He does have the Abyssal Blade, so he could try for this. Papa Tootie, yep, he's got it. Wow, that... Okay. I'm not sure why he waited that long in that instance, if he could get the kill that quickly, but now, gotta get away. Gotta get away from Yuma, and he does manage to do so. That is a whiffed Chrono. And Lumiere, I mean, he's got reinforcements coming. They could turn this into a larger fight. Yuma is going to jump in onto Vitali first, though. Trying to hit him up with the bashes, but Vitali does have that Aeon Disc. That's going to allow him to pop the BKB and fall back. BKB, no, allowing that retreat as Papa Tootie now buys back himself. So he's into the engagement here, but this is starting to get a little bit broken up. As 1437 falling on the back line, this is way too split for anyone to really, oh god, to really turn it around as Papa Tootie's going to get jumped in on. He can't really afford this. He just got back into the fight, and okay, never mind. He's not dead just yet. Instead, it's Analog who dies. He'll commit his buyback as well as Yuma pushes in, able to get Lumiere down, and now without Lumiere, I don't know if they can do this. The buyback, though, will come through from the CK, but at this point, his teammates are going to be falling before he can actually reach them. Yuma picking up the Ultra Kill as he'll take down the Rubik, and now everybody's just got to chill. Buybacks thrown out left, right, and center, but Hokori need to regroup, and to a certain extent, D2 Hustlers really should look to do the same. They are making their way sort of towards the bottom lane, and now they'll make their exit.
And as soon as they see this bottom wave isn't getting pushed out, they're going to know that there's something happening with the Hokori heroes. And 3 buybacks down, even though you might have gotten that second kill on Papa Tootie, you have to be so careful. He has the Dissimulate stun. If the fight goes on a little bit too long, he has a flicker as well. It's so hard, and Lumiere just barely walked past him. That would have been maybe an attempt onto his life, but now it feels like if any of the Hokori heroes die, it's really just the Mars. Vitali can maybe afford to, but if you lose Lumiere, if you lose Analog, it feels like D2 Hustlers are just going to march it down. There's also just been no attempts on the Yuma. There's no way you can kill this Void at this point. You need to wait for him to really be the last one to die. But at the same time, I feel like Hokori, they're just going to split push. They need to split push. Otherwise, this game is just going to be over. There's no way they can win a straight-on 5v5 anymore.
Yeah, that sort of easiest avenue to get back into the game, just winning a team fight, it's not that simple. They can't really afford to do it, and even if they do try for it and somehow pull it off, the lanes will push out so far against them that they're immediately going to have to sort of fall back here as Vitali getting himself jumped in on the top lane. Yuma will push his way forward. The BKB is not going to do a whole lot for him here, but okay, it is going to buy him time to TP out. Yuma didn't get the time lock in there. That's lucky for the Mars, as he is going to be able to make it out.
It does feel a little bit strange. I think if you just sat there and hit him, it probably would have had better odds to get that bash. But again, we're sort of settling back into the split push, and we probably won't see Hokori make an aggressive play up until their backs are against the wall and they're fighting over their last racks, or they get just picked off. They really are just going to sit in the sidelines and do whatever they can. And that's where Hustlers, they're going to try and catch them playing in this bottom. If they get any hero bottom, it's going to feel pretty important. And taking that outpost away, I think they're just going to come down here, get the control back, If Lumiere gets caught bottom, this is going to be a disaster.
Can he keep himself safe as of right now? Looks like he's okay. Oh, well,
no.
Yuma's going to find one. El Micho gets caught. He does have that scythe to try and buy some time, but I don't think that's going to be enough. He's just straight up dead. Yuma gets the kill, and now they're in onto Lumiere as well, but
Chrono.
BKBTP is canceled by the Chrono. Heads up play from Yuma, locking that one down. The CK cannot afford to die here, but he's going down. There's nothing they can do to save him. He's gone for 2 minutes. No buyback for another 5. And as you said, D2 Hustlers, they take those kills, and they might just be able to march it straight down one of those lanes. They are going to start TPing themselves top. They're looking for Analog here as well. They've got him with the silence. The bashes come through, but the BKB will be activated. Analog, he's out of mana. You're right, he can't get away. The BKB is going to wear off, and there's no way out for him. He's just desperately trying to get back, but he's not going to make it. Hustlers, they may have just won it. They're going to go not straight in. Okay, I thought they were going straight in for the tier 4s, but they are.
I think just tier 3 and then end. I really don't know what you do now. You have nothing. Yeah, this is just going to be the end.
There's nothing more for Hokori to do. They've sort of blown their final chance there as Gardic will be taken down, and D2 Hustlers are just going to march their way to a victory unless Vitali has the miracle of all miracles. No, he does not. GG will be called, and that's going to be D2 Hustlers taking this fight. It takes quite a while, 51.5 minutes before they're finally able to pull it off, but I mean, they come from behind, they take control of the match, and by the time Hokori really starts sort of fully reckoning with what's happened, it's too late for them to mount that comeback.
And it's hard to talk about because it really wasn't just one thing. And looking at the win probability graph, that is just so steep. That is an immediate turnaround. And it really felt like after that rampage, you had that one dive where you didn't have Phantasm, you didn't do one thing correctly. You farmed into their ancients, you tried to get something going for you, and then the captain on Hokori said, nope, we're farming, use your Phantasm, never aggressively again, go for these items, you need to get on the back line, we're not doing something right. And I felt like once that started happening, you didn't have Lumiere to sort of carry you through those lulls. Analog did not come up to the plate. He was not really being that secondary initiation. Same with Vitali. It felt like they got scared to make plays because they kept on getting punished. And we sort of ended up in this 20-minute long split push game where it just ended up not mattering. The first 20 minutes that Hokori really felt like they got themselves a sizable lead just came to no fruition.
Yeah, just as you said, it felt like they were a little bit scared, Analog and Vitali, and the problem is those are the two heroes that you can't afford to have being sort of timid. You can't show that hesitation when your team is so reliant on you to sort of make those sort of plays and initiate into those fights. So Hokori really just sort of losing it. Storm and Mars drop off. Lumiere, I mean, the dude tries his best. 19, 6, and 6. It's an impressive count for him. About 35,000 damage dealt there, was the second highest in the game, but at a certain stage, he can't do it alone. Lumiere gives us a fantastic individual performance, but the team play from D2 Hustlers is what sort of sees them through. As D2 Hustlers able to get themselves a win here, so their first victory of the day, they will salvage the 1-1 draw in this first series for them. I say first series because they're going to be playing up a second one. It's D2 Hustlers who will be in action again. They're going to be going up against Ego Boys in our next best of 2. However, before we get to that series, before we jump into that commercial break, we do have ourselves just a bit of a shout out here to this event sponsor. LootBet is offering new users a promotion for this event. New users can get a 100% bonus on their first deposit of up to 150 euros. Use code PRO, that's PRO, on loot.bet. Meanwhile, for existing users, they can also find more promotions and deals when they visit LootBet as well. So shout out to LootBet. They've been giving us the odds for all of these games so far, and they are helping us put this one together. So thank you very much for that. Go check them out if you are in an applicable region, obviously, to use it. And as always, please do remember to bet responsibly. So thank you very much one last time to LootBet. For now, though, we are going to be jumping into a bit of a break, setting up for that third series of the day, D2 Hustlers facing off against Ego Boys in just a little bit.